in the chat. Right, in the chat I have provided the steps and the link for that. Yes, you can just make sure you copy the notes I have added in the Teams chat, and I think that should help you log in. Set up a developer environment, right? Anyone else? Any questions?
So just a question, sir. So
Yeah.
where we can find this documentation, like for example, like definition part only, like where is what is object, this type, for example.
Okay, so there is a portal called Salesforce Trailhead. Okay, so inside Salesforce Trailhead, what we have is all the documentation of Salesforce, the theory documentation, if you want, right? That is available there, along with a few, modules where you can practice a few challenges. Okay,
Yes.
so all these things are available in the Trailhead portal. But before you start on that, you need to have some basic concept, because there what you'll have is like, developer challenges, like create something in the code. But if you're not even familiar with what this kind of code is, how to write this kind of code, right? So similarly, with respect to the admin part also, if you want any issues, if you face any issues, if there are problems or errors you're facing, a lot of the times in the documentation, you can find guidelines on how to solve something, right? Or if other people who have faced those issues and they suggest solutions there, right? So there is a portal Salesforce has provided for Trailhead where you can learn at your own pace. Okay, but the only issue that happens with that is more like just theory based. Okay, there are a lot of theories there, and if you want to go through all the theory, that is good part, but the end result is, like there are modules there are people out there who see those batches and want to complete all of those batches and everything and learn the courses. You learn all the theory, that is good, but unless you do it by your hand, a code, right, build something, test something, then I think it is similar to how, in any programming language, like for Java, Oracle has provided all the documentation online, right? But just because the documentation is available online does not mean everyone can write Java, right? So similar thing is there, but I think for most of the Salesforce issues or queries, if you face or you have some doubts, you can find solution for that within the Trailhead portal.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And as for the exercises which we are doing, since I'm manually doing those exercises, so I'm just providing you the steps and notes I have prepared for those. Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Anyone else? Any queries?
No, sir.
Okay, good, fine. Then I think we can start from the next point where we finished yesterday. So since yesterday we went through more of the basic of the Salesforce again, right? But one thing which I had stressed yesterday was, how important objects are in Salesforce, right? So today I'll be again focusing on objects in Salesforce. Now a bit of the content here would be something that I have also showed in the demo part, demo classes, but a bit of the content is also new content. So let's go through all of it together. And at any point, if you have any issues or any questions, you can ask me. Okay. Yeah. Hold on. Did I start sharing? Yeah, I think I did. Let me know once my screen is visible to all of you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Right, good. So till yesterday, what I had told you that inside Salesforce, we have to store data. Okay. So when we are storing data, so all of that is stored in what we called as object. Object is a relative keyword. There is a more specific word used for objects, which is a generic term, but we will focus on that once we go to code. For now, you have to know when people are talking about objects, what they are talking about is how the data is stored inside Salesforce. Every different table is basically a different object. So all of these things you see here are objects. Okay, employees, opportunities, leads, tasks, all of these are objects, and every object has a specific purpose for which it was created. So we go to setup, and inside setup we go to the object manager. Now here you see all the objects which Salesforce has provided, the standard ones. And as of now, there is one object which we have created, which is a custom object, which Salesforce did not provide. Now, as I told you, the purpose of each of the object, the ones which Salesforce provides are kind of standard requirements that any industry needs. कोई भी बिजनेस आपका होता है जिसको कुछ चीजें आपको मेंटेन करनी होती है एज पर एक जेनरिक आइडिया, तो वो सब चीजों के लिए उन्होंने खुद से ऑब्जेक्ट्स बना के दे रखे हैं सेल्सफोर्स। व्हाट आर दोस वंस? अकाउंट, address, you see out of all of this, right? Like assigned resource, not everyone may use, but HR departments, project management, they may know which resources assigned to which project, right? Similarly, buyer, seller, you'll find here, right? Catalog, you'll find here. Then something similar, contract, coupon, customer, right? Employees, custom, event, image, invoice, like a billing invoice, right? Lead, I've told you, location. So you see, these are terms: order product, only product is also there. Price book is like where you have list of all the items, like the rate card kind of thing. Okay, so product you have. So you see refund. All of these are like standard terms you may have probably heard in daily life. Businesses use, company use, right? These are things which normally get used in a commercial sector, which is why the general ones like task, users, right? So these are standard items just which data is normally needed in an industry, which is why Salesforce has compiled a list of those, and those are already provided as a standard object, right? And this keeps getting updated, like the list of standard objects that Salesforce adds, that gets updated, right? Sometimes Salesforce comes with some objects which were previously not there, and like, okay, we have seen a lot of our customer end up creating some kind of object which is used for this kind of thing, so let's provide it as standard. Like, I'll show you one. There was one for credit card or wallet. Wallet, digital wallet. Yeah, this one, digital wallet, right? So you see this standard object, you go 6-7 years ago, this was not available. Salesforce did not provide, because there were not digital wallets actually that much, right? So but now companies have customers who use digital wallets a lot of the time. So a lot of the companies have to save the user details of the wallet, so which is why now digital wallet comes as a standard object. However, as per our requirement, we may end up with custom object. We can create whatever we want. Now, when I am talking about an object, आप अगर सोचोगे कि एक ऑब्जेक्ट एक हमारा डेटाबेस का एक टेबल है जिसमें हम कुछ स्पेसिफिक टाइप का डेटा रखेंगे, तो उसके अंदर हमको कॉलम भी रहेंगे, वो कॉलम के अंदर हम लोग एक एक चीज डालेंगे. So let's go with one which we have. Let's do one thing. Last time in the demo I had done with account. So let's go with contact this time. हम लोग रेफरेंस के लिए कॉन्टैक्ट ऑब्जेक्ट को यूज करेंगे और उसकी एनालॉजी से हम पूरा एग्जांपल समझेंगे. सो फॉर कॉन्टैक्ट ऑब्जेक्ट, this is the home page, just contact. The name of the object is available, API name of the object is Love. These two are different thing. Normally for standard object this is same, लेकिन आप जब कस्टम ऑब्जेक्ट बनाओगे तो ये दोनों चीज अलग हो जाएगा. एंड द वेयर वी यूज API name we will discuss later when we are writing code. Actually, that is where API name is used, not normally on the UI. Okay, so now with a contact, there are a lot of details of a contact you have to save, right? You can't just add. So कॉन्टैक्ट रहेगा तो उसका कॉन्टैक्ट एक इंडिविजुअल रहेगा नॉर्मली, तो उसके लिए उसका कॉन्टैक्ट डिटेल्स जो रहेगा, मोबाइल नंबर, ईमेल, if you want to save address, first name, last name, right? Home address, postal address, right? All these things are details that you have to save within a contact. So those things in Salesforce are specifically termed as fields. Okay. So all of this here you see is the data within a contact you can store. Birth date of a contact you can store as a field inside the contact object, right? A person has an email ID, you save him as a contact. So you have to save that email ID also in the system. So that is what is called a field. Now there is one thing here called fields and relationships. Why not only field? Because if I have an object, now think of this in a business point of view. आप एक दुकान चलाते हो. You have a big industry store and you deal with hundreds of clients, right? So say one of your client is a jewelry manufacturer. Okay. तो आपका client रहेगा वो ज्वेलरी मैन्युफैक्चरर. टेक एनी ज्वेलरी मैन्यू तनिष्क, टेक तनिष्क एज अ क्लाइंट. तो आपका क्लाइंट अगर तनिष्क है, so each time are you going to a Tanishq office and interacting with different persons, or normally what you have is कोई एक representative रहता है, आप बार बार उसी को फोन करते हो, right? आपका एक point of contact रहता है in any business relationship, that this is the person you talk to, right? So actual जो relation रहेगा वो कैसा रहेगा? You have a client and within that client, related to that client, you have a contact, right? So this is an instance where two different things may end up being related. Now what if you have to save that data inside Salesforce? So let me take an example from here. Say Pradeep is the contact I have for Tanish, right? So I will create a contact data for Pradeep, right? Now I also have in my database the client details, the Tanish का account है मेरे पास. So how do I relate those? That is what in Salesforce is called a relationship field. There are two types of relationships. We will cover those later. But a relationship field where one object is linked to another object, which is why here it is like fields and relationships. That it is not just data, but also relationships between two different objects. How? You see here, all the fields here, most of the fields here you see are direct data. कि फर्स्ट नेम टेक्स्ट है, डेटा हम डालेंगे, राइट? लीड सोर्स वैल्यू है, फील्ड है हमारे पास, बर्थ डेट, होम फोन, फैक्स, ईमेल आईडी, ये सब डायरेक्टली डेटा है. बट इफ यू सी हियर अकाउंट नेम, so this contact must work for some account. So this is a lookup to a account, which means this is basically, just for now I'll say, is a relationship to an account object. Similarly, and it is not just account object. When in the Salesforce you create a role, so someone has created, so then कौन से यूजर ने बनाया है वो भी हमको ट्रैक करना पड़ेगा. तो यहाँ पे देखो लुकअप है, यूजर ऑब्जेक्ट पे भी रिलेशनशिप है हमारे पास. Similarly, if I do, and this is not just between two objects, okay, this can also happen between the same object. Like this contact can have a manager, I also have the manager's data, right? So both of that data will be contact type. So I need a relation which is of the type contact only within contact. So एक contact रहेगा say Pradeep, and then वहीं पे एक relationship रहेगा also to another contact who is his manager. So this is why this tab is called fields and relationships. There are fields we create and then there are relationships we create between objects. Now any kind of data you can store within Salesforce. So for now I'll have a question with you. When I'm saving a contact, say, right? So other than the basic things available here, what do you think is some detail that a company should keep about a contact? कोई भी आपको लगता है कोई डेटा जो है कंपनी को रखना चाहिए कॉन्टैक्ट के लिए? कुछ भी जैसे
क्वेश्चन एक बार फिर से रिपीट करो.
या तो यहाँ पे हमारे कॉन्टैक्ट का कुछ फील्ड्स आपको दिख रहा है यूआई पे, राइट? कॉन्टैक्ट हमारे पास फोन नंबर है, नाम है, ईमेल आईडी है, राइट? इनके अलावा कुछ और डिटेल जो आपको लगता है कॉन्टैक्ट का सेव करना चाहिए डेटाबेस में?
मेल आईडी है ना,
एड्रेस,
एड्रेस, एक ऑल्टरनेट ईमेल आईडी, ऑल्टरनेट
Account
मोबाइल
ID,
नंबर,
account ID, date.
अकाउंट आईडी ऑलरेडी है, अकाउंट ऑलरेडी है,
एम्प्लॉय कोड,
right, exactly. So now all the examples we got, right? I'll just type out those in the Teams chat. Okay, I got email ID, let's say alternate email ID, right? Address I got, then date of birth I got, right? Then another one was employee ID or employee, yeah, employee ID, let's take, right? So now 4 different things I have, right? So now I can save all 4 things inside database. But the issue then comes is all of this can have different type, right? Email ID का एक अलग तरीका है रखने का. Date of birth I cannot save as an email ID, so that should have a different format. Employee ID is probably a number, and sometimes it is also not a number. Sometimes it is like company name underscore employee code. Right? ऐसा भी format हो सकता है. Address के लिए I need to write a long text. So now comes the situation where you need multiple different types of data you have to store inside fields. So all the fields cannot be of the same type. Okay, so that is what, when creating a field, is the data type which we choose. If you see here, a phone has a specific data type already present in Salesforce, which is a phone. Birth date is set as date. Pick list is also a type of field, but has something different. We'll go through it when we create a pick list once, right? Text, I can create a text field जिसमें हम एड्रेस सेव कर सकते हैं. टेक्स्ट के लिए हम लेंथ भी चेंज कर सकते हैं, right? Then email ID के लिए I have a different type of field. So with respect to fields, you have lots of options, which is why you can save any kind of data inside Salesforce. So let's pick up any one. Let's take alternate email ID from here. Okay. So I go. Now here you see in the fields and relationship page only, in the top you see a few buttons. For now we will check the new button, right? As soon as I click on new, all the types of fields which I can create become options from which I can select. Automatically number sequence wise generate हो, जैसे पहला record 1 हो जाएगा, second 2 हो जाएगा, 3 4 ऐसे चलता रहेगा. So that is auto number. Formula you can set, right? Roll up summary, lookup and external lookup are a bit different. We'll focus on that later. Now you see here the basic types जो होते हैं, checkbox, currency, money amount आपको सेव करना, date time, email, geolocation. You can actually save the location coordinates जो map में use होते हैं within the Salesforce also. Number सेव करना है कुछ, percentage you have, phone number you have, text, time, even a link you can save. So the type of field you can choose whenever you are creating a field. So for now we wanted to save alternate email ID, right? So I'll select the type as email. Next. Now here you see there is this. I'll just do one thing. We go to setup once more, open the object once more, and now I told you that there is something called the API name and the object name, right? Similarly, for field also we have the actual name and the API name. Okay. So what is the difference here? If you see, let's compare anyone, this assistant phone, right? Here you see how it is displayed, assistant.phone. This looks good on UI, right? Backend API name is assistant phone without any spaces. Inside API name, you cannot have spaces, first restriction. Second thing is, why this difference here, right? Because this is what is displayed on the UI. UI पे आपको दिखेगा ऐसे do not call in different words में. But the backend name is what is used in code. तो वहाँ पे आप space नहीं दोगे इसीलिए. Okay, so there is a difference. So when you are creating a field, you have to make sure that you check this. Normally what Salesforce does, whatever name you set, it creates a API name similar to that. Now I write the name as alternate email ID. Now here you see this is the UI name जो UI पे दिखेगा, and this will become the API name जो backend में use होगा, the one which we use for code. Now this got created automatically. You can change it completely. Like I can have backup email ID also. UI पे अलग है, backend में completely अलग है. That is also possible. Normally, as part of best practice, it is always better to have the same thing. Okay. Now just make sure you remove the spaces. So normally what I can do is I can write this way also, but it is more of a code readability that we separate the words like this. Okay. Now as a Salesforce admin, whenever you are creating a new field, always assume someone else is also going to see your work. Okay. Say in a company project, you have there is no one admin. There may be 5 admins, 10 admins. 2 महीने 4 महीने बाद जाके किसी और एडमिन को उस पर काम करना है, या तुमको ही आके कुछ चेंजेस करना है, अब आपको याद नहीं आ रहा है ये फील्ड आपने क्यों बनाया था, राइट? सो विच इज व्हाई देयर इज समथिंग कॉल्ड डिस्क्रिप्शन. क्रिएटिंग अ custom email field on contact to store the backup email ID. Right? Always, whenever you are making any changes, if there is a place to write comments or description, make sure you write that. Okay. Backup email ID. Help text हम बाद में देखेंगे. Now, when you are creating a field, you can have some restrictions also you can add here. How? Required. If I select this checkbox, तो हर कॉन्टैक्ट के लिए बैकअप ईमेल आईडी होना जरूरी हो जाए. नाउ एक्चुअली बिजनेस वाइज क्या आपको लगता है हर कॉन्टैक्ट के लिए बैकअप ईमेल आईडी जरूरी रखना इज मैंडेटरी, इज अ गुड ऑप्शन? No, right?
No, sir.
Right. If this was maybe the employee ID I was creating, then making it required would have been good, right? You should make it required कि employee ID देना पड़ेगा, right? Alternate email ID नहीं भी हो सकता, so I won't make it required. Secondly, for unique,